Aloha. Welcome to Netra's News. This is Netra Halperin, and I hope you'll excuse me tonight. I do have a bit of laryngitis, but you know, I had such great guests that I just couldn't bear to cancel, and I just really wanted to hear what they had to say. So this evening, the topic is strengthening the local economy. So we've got two gentlemen who are part of our community who are doing a lot to strengthen the economy. So first we've got Harry Donnenfeld.
Aloha.
And he is the Maui County Film Commissioner. And we've got David Fisher.
Aloha.
And he's the co-founder of Community Finance Marketplace.
That's pretty good.
So let's go with you first, Harry. Can you give us a synopsis? What is your goals? What are your plans?
Well, Netra, the Film Office, as we have it now, clearly is here to facilitate production for locals. So we're trying to bolster our local economy, helping guys like Bruce Cohen, who have done a great job with Get a Job, as well as some of our students through educational programs, and strengthening our own sort of core lower group in the film and TV industry. We're trying to draw productions to the island, not just for location, but actually to come in and stay, to utilize facilities, to do more than just come and shoot on the beach and then go home.
Right.
And we're actively working within the community and outside the community to build the infrastructure. Okay. In order for that money to stay, we have to have certain parts of the infrastructure here so that more of the production can actually stay.
Right.
So the Film Office is sort of at this point working and massaging all of these areas of the film industry. We're working with UHMC, we're working with outside companies to come in, we're seeking investors to work within our community to help build this infrastructure, to work in bringing projects, television shows, feature films here into the county. So we're very busy.
Very busy.
Very busy.
Well, wonderful. And you had that Film Commission roundtable, and I attended that. And it felt like you were saying, okay, community, okay, actors, grips.
Absolutely.
What videographer, is that the people who shoot? What's it called?
Cinematographer, cameraman,
dollies. I have no idea what a dolly
greensmans,
is. All these
boys and,
best
and
boys,
girls.
all these exotic
Foley
people.
artists.
Foley artists. You invited them too.
Yes.
So so let's look at the video clip of the Film Commission roundtable.
I love Maui's natural beauty. It's Maui, come on. Right. How do we make sure that when the film industry comes in, it doesn't overdevelop and suddenly we're just a big paved island with skyscrapers everywhere and we're another LA?
My answer to that is that they would have to go through the Maui permit process.
We know how to keep Maui Maui.
Is there a variation on the type of tax breaks based upon how much of local Maui personnel is used? Is there a possibility of writing that in?
With the state bill, the state legislators will pretty much dictate at the end of the bill what it is that we can and cannot do. Maui County does not have full control over what is being passed. However, Senator Shan Tsutsui and all of our legislators have been very supportive of the concept that we are trying to develop. We're not competing just with Maui and Maui. We're looking at competing internationally. So we have to develop the talent that is capable of competing internationally. And I have every confidence that we have the ability and the talent here on Maui, and we can develop that talent to the highest levels. A lot of you have already taken and proven that in other times of your lives and in productions that have been going on. But ultimately, we are going to have to demonstrate to the world that we are capable of holding our own and standing high and tall.
My name is Eileen McKee. I've done live action, animation, 2D, 3D, motion capture, and stop motion.
Excellent.
I'm now a producer. I've been producing now on my own here live action because it's small industry, not like do weddings, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. My curiosity is, will there be a 411 or a real directory at all available of all the talent that's in this room? And will it be online?
Yes.
And thank you
That
for
is
coming.
the easy answer, and you're very welcome. It was my pleasure.
Hey everyone, my name is Stefan, and
Please, by all means.
I was the producer of Get a Job, local film here.
Congratulations, Stephen.
I guess my question is, incentivizing studios and Kavanaugh to come here is great for the economy and for jobs, but I think there's also a focus that needs to be placed on smaller scale, say under $5 million productions. So above and beyond the 15-20% incentive, is part of this fund potentially focused towards local production and projects that may actually represent Maui and come out of Maui?
Okay, well, that was a very interesting event. So, Harry, what were you about to say?
Well, first, I would like to correct myself. It's Brian Cohen and not Bruce Cohen and Stefan Schaefer who did Get a Job. So please forgive me, guys. And then what was...
Okay, the question was, yes, Kavanaugh and the big film production studio and the big, fancy productions are all well and good, but what about the under $5 million productions? What is your plan to be a supportive film commission for them?
Well, we're looking at trying to find investors. We're trying to create HUIs where investors can get together. There is a plan in place right now where you can invest or donate money to a 501 basically based fund, and that fund is designed to work with local producers. What they would like, the goal of it in the end is that we would have matching funds for productions in the, say, $500,000 range, and allow movies that are similar to Get a Job to be launched from Maui without having to basically give away the farm in terms of ownership and returns.
Excellent, excellent.
So we are working on that. And that's not necessarily county funds and the revolving credit that everybody has heard about, or the special revolving fund. The special revolving fund is still in process. The council is still working out on ways of passing resolutions to be able to fund it and to access it in different areas. So we're trying to come up with alternative methods as well.
Wonderful. And okay, that perfectly segues into our next guest, whose specialty is bringing people who have money to invest with people who need money for projects.
Well, it's actually the other way around. It's helping people who are looking for money present themselves to people who've got some money. But this is all. There's some really interesting stuff that's happening now that goes under the broad umbrella of democratization of capital. Right now, for the most part, with some interesting exceptions, including some stuff that relates to film, most financing is only for what they call accredited investors, which in the parlance of today is the 1%, right? And so the people who have more than $1 million in assets or earning $200,000 plus a year, an accredited investor can invest in a local small business, and many of them, they're also known as angels, and it actually came out of theater and movie, although it's broadened to a lot of technology investment angels, especially in Silicon Valley, but also in Hawaii, and there's been investment in film production using the Act 221 investment tax credits. But that's where we are now. What's just passed in Congress on November 3rd, which a little more than a month ago, the House approved by a 405 to 17 vote.
Wow.
The crowdfunding bill. So crowdfunding is legal now as a gift, as a donation. And we're going to see a film about an example, a Hawaii example, and there are some Maui examples as well. But actually, there's one whole crowdfunding site called Indiegogo, which you were talking not $5 million budgets, but $5,000 budgets.
Yes, just microfunding.
And these are what you're doing is you're donating money in return for a credit. Or in return for being invited to the opening night party and maybe a DVD, those kinds of things. And it's a very sort of guerrilla financing mode. But people have raised, you know, $50,000 and $75,000 and $100,000 with that. And that's legal. You can do that right now with a crowdfunder, a Kickstarter, and we have a Maui-based one called Green Funder.
Okay.
And there are actually about 200 of these sites that are out there right now, international, they're in Europe as well. But the bill that passed the House in November, and it's had a hearing in the Senate just on December 1st, and they're waiting. We have another day or two to put in comments on that, and then they're going to take it to the next step. Is going to legalize making a loan. And when you make a loan, or if you have an ownership share in a venture, that's called a security. Okay, so right now you can't do that. Regular folks can't do that.
Right,
at least.
only
the
accredited.
1%.
I thought that was that the same as a sophisticated investor?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
There are some differences, but pretty much the same.
Okay.
So it's going to open it up so that people can go with their personal networks or fan base or however you want it. You know, like an Eric Gilliam or Woody Kay have a huge fan base, so they could go get $100 from 1,000 people, you know, and be able to fund their next project. You know, it's not. They're not going to make a 3D, or maybe they'll figure out a way to do a cheesy 3D.
I was just talking to a 3D guy the other day. He's all head on.
I understand. Actually, the opening of you introduced me with the finance marketplace, community finance marketplace, but many of the viewers will know me. I ran the Small Business Development Center here for 19 years, and we actually opened in 1990. At Maui Community College, now known as UH Maui College. But when it was Maui, we opened with Senator Inouye doing the blessing and my friend Paul Hugel videotaping us in 3D.
Good.
So we have a 1990 3D video version, which I'm not sure if it would show on today's equipment, but it's pretty interesting.
What goes around comes around.
Yeah. But anyway, this is pretty exciting.
Yeah, it is.
You know, it's still part of the idea. You know, it was very unanimous going through, and the people that are most concerned about it right now at the Senate hearing were the state securities commissioners.
Okay.
And we have been working on that front here in Hawaii a bit. We have a study group. We actually passed a Senate concurrent resolution, which was sponsored by Senator Baker, Maui's Senator Baker.
The state level.
Yeah, well, we're looking at doing a local stock exchange.
Right.
And the word local, from our point of view, we meant local money going to local businesses.
Exactly.
But one of the reasons I was talking about the name is that as soon as you use the word stock exchange, both the regulators freak out, okay, and then also, you know, people in the filmmakers and entrepreneurs and, you know, everyone now, the 99% is very suspicious when you stock exchange.
Right.
So we're you know, 30 years ago, a local stock, we had a Honolulu Stock Exchange from 1900 to 1976, and that was a real stock exchange helping small businesses. What we have now in New York is really a big casino, and it doesn't help businesses.
No.
And even though the original, the 1930s laws, the securities laws that were passed after the Great Depression crash, right? Those were all, you know, there to protect the 99% from being scammed. And the idea was that you would have all this openness and all this, share the financial statements and reviews
Transparency.
and stuff. And if you were actually running a real business, that would make sense. But what we have now are these multi-billion-dollar, I mean, people don't go public unless they're raising billions of dollars, right? Yeah. And by that time, they've already either made it or haven't made it. So it's this whole other world, and, you know, nobody understands what they're up to. You know, it doesn't make any, I mean, I have an MBA and everything, and I don't really understand how you can value Facebook at, I don't know, 10 billion or something like that, or LinkedIn going public, or what was the other one, just the recommendation one that just went.
Ask somebody?
No. We should ask. I know Tommy Russo from Maui Time Weekly knows all about this stuff.
Details.
But there are all these things that, you know, they don't go public unless they're raising billions of dollars, and for the 99%, that's pretty irrelevant.
Not going to happen.
And it's also from the point of view of our economy, especially Hawaii and Maui's economy, we have more important things to be thinking about, such as energy efficiency or renewable energy, our food system. We're importing in the majority, if not 90% of our fuel and our food. So to finance innovation in those areas, that's sort of what I'm focused in on.
Right.
And the kinds of local businesses that are going to be doing that are not necessarily going to be huge home run IPO type businesses. They're going to be, it's very fine, it's a wonderful thing to have a business that does $400,000 a year and employs 3 or 4 people or whatever, or a $5 million business a year, or a film that can, that costs maybe 5 or 10 million and makes a nice profit on that, and it keeps people employed for
as long as it employs people.
Yeah, so those kinds of things are. There's a lot more of that going on.
Exactly.
And even a lot more of that could go on.
Yeah.
And that to me is the more valuable thing, in our economy. But we sort of got starting in the 70s and 80s, we got into this grand slam mentality that everything you had to become, a billionaire or a millionaire, or what was that show that they had on TV, where Life of the Rich and Famous, and everyone got fixated on that stuff rather than
just reality.
So we're hoping to create the community finance marketplace that helps real local, businesses thrive.
Yeah, and this is great because I've had 2 shows, the one before this, and then my first show about all the fraud that's been done at Wall Street. And so it's like, okay, here's a solution. I'm not just, saying that thing is wrong or, gotten pretty corrupt, but here's an option, here's another way. And like you said, democratizing finance and bringing the money back to the people in a business sense. Because many people would rather have their own business than work for somebody. And then there's even the small business people are going to have a couple of people work for them. So it's a good trend, and localizing.
Well, as soon as you have your business, you're working for a lot of people.
Well, yeah, your whole clientele.
It's a myth that you're your own boss. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you have all your clients, exactly.
Oh yeah.
So let's show the film on Uncle Clay's.
Well, maybe I should give you a little advance.
Okay,
for that.
okay, he's going to give an advance. Go ahead.
Well, we're going to show. Netra wanted to see an example, and one of the very exciting examples is actually a Honolulu business called Uncle Clay's House of Pure Aloha.
Yes.
And it's basically a shave ice business, and they used a crowdfunding service called ProFounder, and they're probably one of the more innovative groups. They actually was founded by 2 folks that were at Stanford Business School together. Okay. And they gave wonderful testimony before the House. And so they're very responsible for this revolution that's about to happen, the people behind ProFounder. But one of their big success stories, because it's Uncle Clay's House of Pure Aloha is just wonderful as an idea. And the people, as I think you're going to see shortly, are quite special. It's a wonderful example. And basically they're going to their customers. And so you can see this.
Yeah. Okay, so let's watch.
We got the funding for Uncle Clay's House of Pure Aloha, or for short, HOPA, in a very fun, innovative, new way, and that was through crowdfunding, or community funding as they called it, on the ProFounder platform. And what we did was we partnered with this company called ProFounder, which is this new online company that makes crowdfunding accessible and possible to startup businesses, entrepreneurs, to really be able to raise the funds from a lot of people, friends, families, even strangers, and that's what the case was for HOPA, to realize their business passions and visions. So we ended up successfully raising $54,000 in October of 2010 from 19 investors, a lot of family, friends, loyal, longtime supporters of the old business. And that was really the first capital infusion that we needed to make this vision of the house a reality. So we're very, very grateful for that opportunity to have raised money on ProFounder.
And those 19 individuals, do they have shares, so to speak, in HOPA?
Moving forward with ProFounder, there is going to be that ability to actually earn ownership equity in the companies that are invested in. But in our case, it was a revenue sharing agreement and a loan agreement. So we will be repaying our investors over a set term of time and rate. But in addition to that, we'll be sharing a percentage of revenues. So every shave ice that we sell, part of that will be going to our group of investors. So the better that we do, the more shave ice that we sell, the better our investors will do as well. So they share in the success of HOPA, and that's really what we try to do in everything at HOPA is make sure it's a win-win opportunity.
And do some of them give you like business consulting or support to help keep their investment being successful?
That's a great question, and I think it touches on one of the most valuable things about crowdfunding is that it's not just about the money. It's about building a community, a support group, a network, your first, most supportive customers, brand ambassadors, the value of your investors as being really a key ingredient to launching the new business, and that was definitely the case. Having people who really support you, I think, personally, is important. It reminds you that you are on the right track, that there are people who believe in your vision and what you're doing in your plan. And in addition to that, people who are telling other people about what's exciting coming right around the corner. So even before we opened, we had some buzz around our opening, excitement about what we're trying to do here at the house, and that is really, really important for a new business like ours. Crowdfunding definitely has a lot of benefits. One of the things though is it takes a lot of work. So especially when you're raising a lot of money from a lot of people, it takes a lot of effort, and the amount of work that you say need to put into raising $50, $100 from one person can sometimes be the same amount of energy that's necessary to raise, $1,000 or $5,000 from another individual. But when you're crowdfunding, everyone's important, and so you got to just be ready to invest that energy, enthusiasm behind that process of raising money from the community. I'm particularly excited to see crowdfunding take root here in the islands as well, because I feel we've got such a strong sense of community. I mean, especially here at the House of Pure Aloha, you realize that everyone knows each other, and we're not very separated. Either your uncle or your auntie, your cousin is connected to theirs, or you went to the same school or played on the same sports team. And so what crowdfunding, I think, is really useful for is supporting those great ideas, and getting a lot of people behind it so that it has the best chance of succeeding. There's some exciting legislative developments happening on the national level that will hopefully make crowdfunding a more viable option for entrepreneurs and businesses nationwide, and really optimistic and hopeful to see what happens from here. It's about democratizing the process of business formation, entrepreneurship. So it also opens up the opportunity for those people who want to support good ideas to get involved with those ideas, be it financially or just being able to share those ideas with others in their network. It really empowers individuals, I feel, to make the change, make the impact that they want to see. So, yeah. We have our wonderful host, Mr. Matt.
Hello, my name is Mr. Matt. Here we have a all-national taking science, and there's mochi and a little strawberry.
It's very cute.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Matt. Okay, so that was your first time of seeing this show.
That was great.
Yeah?
That was lots of fun. I'm friends with them on Facebook, so we exchange stuff every once in a while. And by the way, the person I found out about Uncle Clay's House of Pure Aloha from a New York Times reporter. Okay,
Oh, really? Nice.
So I was talking with her and said, so David, do you know about Uncle Clay's House of Pure Aloha? So I'm talking with her in Brooklyn, and she's asking me about this. And this is Amy Cortese, who's written the book Loka Vesting.
Okay. Oh.
And she's going to be on Maui in January. She's going to be a speaker at TEDx Maui.
Excellent.
I was the one who convinced them to bring her.
Good. Wonderful. Wonderful.
So you'll all, people here on Maui will have a chance to meet Amy, and I do recommend her book. It covers the stuff that we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Is one chapter of 12
Yeah.
of ways to get back investing in the community.
Bring the money back with
with
people.
things
Make
like
it more dramatic.
with other things like local banks and credit unions and so forth.
Oh, sorry. Okay, we have a caller. Remember, it's a call-in show, and it's Franklin from Kihei. Oh, from New York. Okay. So, Franklin, welcome. What did you want to ask?
Netra, this is Franklin, and Harry, are you there?
Aloha, Franklin.
Hey, how you doing, Harry? I was very impressed when you had the meeting, the first meeting with Alan and all of the people invited. What is your view on the possibility of a studio on Maui that produces 3D television and 3D movies?
Well, Franklin, I think that's an excellent idea. I'm not so sure we'd have a facility that was purely dedicated to 3D, but with the current influx or I guess push for 3D, and clearly the television industry has picked it up with all these new 3D TVs coming out. I don't see why Maui going into the 21st century wouldn't have a 3D facility or certainly have access to that technology for not only for our local production but for incoming production. Absolutely.
Now, I have a friend that's coming in a few days who has a similar system to cameras, but better. And he'll be meeting with you in the near future.
I think that would be an excellent idea, Franklin. And I would hope that possibly if he has some decent 3D footage, we might be able to get it on one of Netra's shows, or maybe Akaku will air it for us, or I don't know if the technology exists for any of the local Maui stations to actually air that, but if it did, it would be nice to see it.
Now, YouTube has a lower quality, but people are downloading their little cameras to YouTube right now in 3D. No glass 3D.
Love it. That's the beauty of the 21st century. Yeah, you still have to wear goggles, and I know that there are different technologies that are coming out between changing colors, changing positions, putting prisms. There's all different types of 3D that have reached the market. So like anything else, Sony and Betamax and VHS, there'll be a fight and one will win.
Well, let's get this studio built.
Thank you for your support.
And I actually have seen the camera of which he was speaking. And what it is he took two cameras. They look like still cameras, but I guess they were video. And he had them affixed to each other like just backs. I don't know, it's like 3 inches. And it was so,
yes.
And then he just shot. And then he said in post-production, he goes and changes it 30 degrees, and then it looks perfect.
It's an amazing technology, and it's only going to increase. The more people are buying these 3D sets, the more producers are producing 3D movies. Clearly, like anything else, it'll get better as it goes.
Yeah.
It's wonderful stuff.
And just in case anybody doesn't know, this is a call-in show, and you can call us at 873-3430. So please call and ask these amazing gentlemen what they have to say.
May I ask for a question? Can I ask help from the Maui community? We have a show, Haunted Collector, from the Sci-Fi Channel, that would desperately like to come and film in Maui County. But the Haunted Collector needs your help. They need to hear what kind of ghost stories exist in Maui County. And here's an excellent opportunity for you as a community to get up and to help bring television to this island. If you would like, actually I would like, please, to send me an email to filmcommish@gmail.com. Don't make jokes about my email here, but it's filmcommish@gmail.com. If the night marchers go down your backyard, tell us. If you've got objects that run across your counters, if your curtains blow with the windows closed, if the boogeyman sits on your chest at night, whatever. Please, if you've got great ghost stories, filmcommish@gmail.com. Send it in. Let's get Haunted Collector here. Let's get you guys on TV.
Wonderful. That sounds really
Sorry,
fun.
I had to give a little plug there.
Oh no, I was going to ask you later. So now later doesn't matter.
I appreciate it.
So yeah, so tell us. You did share with me some of your plans for doing a studio. What are your current plans?
Well, we have. There are many. We'd like to start like anything else. If you're going to build a foundation in a community, you start small and you start to increase as you go. We're looking at individual projects that will require sound stages. And so initially we would like to work with just a series of sound stages, giving productions a place to go. We can shoot interiors finally. You can shoot music videos, all sorts of stuff. It'll be open to the community, allow the students to be able to have access to these things. But a sound stage and the facilities that surround it are essential in having that money stick in Maui County. See, again, in production at the moment, they come, they'll shoot a beach, they'll shoot the front of a house, and then they'll pack all their gear up and they go back to Los Angeles or to England or wherever it is that they came from and shoot in their sound stages. And that would be because we don't have any here for them. So the idea being, as these facilities are created, now more and more of that money that's in the budget of the feature or the series actually gets to stay. And in the case of a television series, if we wanted to have our own, say, Hawaii Five-0 film here on Maui, we'd have to have that sort of facilities. Hawaii Five-0 on Oahu utilizes the old Star Advertiser building.
That sounds right.
Yeah, and, as opposed to actually as opposed to an actual soundstage, because they didn't have that. And in the past, when we had productions like America's Top Model, that actually came and filmed an entire season here on Maui, they had to convert an abandoned restaurant into a soundstage and shoot at it. Now, it worked, but clearly not enough to get them to come back for a second season. Yeah. So it's, when you make a home, you make a home.
Yeah, exactly. And you mentioned about, so you don't have any ideas about some big studio somewhere at this moment. You're still just kind of looking at the soundstage idea and then seeing where it goes from that.
We're not opposed to a big studio. And if one of the several suitors that we've had come and speak to us can put all of the elements into place to have that happen, we're certainly excited with that prospect. At this point, we want the infrastructure to start.
Right.
A big studio is great, and we look forward to it when it arrives, but again, we don't have a single soundstage.
Right.
So let's start with a single soundstage, and then we can work our way up to a 50 or 38 or whatever we have in the works.
And you also mentioned to me about training,
Yes.
classes for all the line people, the hairdressers, the makeup artists, the best boys, the grips, the things that people can learn in, not too extended of a time.
Well, we're working with the University of Hawaii Maui campus right now to work with their Adventure program, and hopefully we can make a more formal announcement very soon. All I can say at this point is we are working with them. We do have a blueprint in plan and in motion, And very shortly, we'll be able to make a very formal announcement about a vocational film program here on Maui.
Good. So are you looking forward to going to the legislature and advocating for the film tax credit bill this next session?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And for all of you folks that are listening, talk to your legislators, get them on board. Any kind of assistance that we get with the Article 88, and by the way, so that you know, Article 88 is the Hawaii state tax credit. That allows productions over $200,000 to get assistance from the state for their production. And currently, we offer a 20% tax rebate for productions based here in Maui County. And we're hoping that that can actually be raised 25, 30, 35%. In the outside, our competitors, like Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico offers a 40% tax rebate. Currently, we're at 20. That's double the amount of money the producers are getting back. It's very hard to compete with somebody that's doubling your money. So any kind of an advancement in that tax credit is a huge benefit to this economy in terms of being able to draw that production here. So please.
And I did work in the legislature for 2 sessions, and so I know that time is of the essence. And
yes.
That basically, you know, first the bill gets referred to the committee, then the committee chair has to decide to hear it. So that's like a moment. And then the committee chair has to and then once it's heard, then the testimony has to come in. They give 2 days notice, 48 hours notice, and all the testimony comes in. And if people can go to Oahu, that's great. But if not, email testimony is very useful. So are you going to have some kind of an email alert that you can get people on, that you just send, okay, please send in your testimony right now, so that can, because that makes the difference in the legislature. They want to hear that the people care.
I think that's a great idea. Actually, I haven't had the opportunity yet to put something like that together, but I will take that into consideration. I think that's an excellent idea to be able to broadcast, use our resources, and again, try and get the word out to the community as much as possible. Please speak to your legislatures, do submit testimony, and please support this.
So David, on the legislative side, you mentioned about this bill, I can't remember which one it was. What was the House bill?
SCR 134.
Yeah, so you said it went through the House overwhelmingly, and then now it's at the Senate.
Okay, well, there are 2 things. There's the state level, and then there's the federal level.
Okay.
And we did the House Senator Baker's resolution last
year. Okay, at the state level.
And that went through, and there's a study group that's been meeting right now.
Okay.
And basically we figured out what we can do. I don't think we need any new state legislation. But on the federal level, what passed in November 3rd, very far-reaching national legislation supported by Republicans and Democrats and President Obama
bipartisan,
passed.
Yeah.
And we're hoping that it's possible that it will pass before the end of the year, because the Senate's had a hearing, and you know they want to do something that they can agree on, and it's related to jobs, obviously. So if they can get that through, and you know, the SEC will probably have they'll probably have a couple of months, but you know, certainly I would think by either April or by, you know, the summer, the crowdfunding will be able to go an additional level. That's limited to probably 1 million raises, you know, up to $1 million per venture.
Right. Okay.
But there's also another law that passed, the kinds of funding that was used for films like, you know, under Act 221 and stuff like that, called Reg D, under the securities laws, and the Princess Kaiulani film and the Tempest and all those things. Those, the way you used to be raise money was always with individuals that you knew, right? So you couldn't put an ad out or anything like that. So they also passed on November 3rd a law that will allow people to advertise Reg D, so you can go be on TV and talk about the wonderful business plan. The catch is that only the certified investors will be able to invest in those. So that's still going to be limited, you know, and you know, those people can invest $100,000 or each individually if they've got that. And there are people certainly who have that here in Hawaii.
Right.
So So that was the other area, but they made some big changes.
Doesn't 221 sunset this year?
Yeah, last year.
Last year.
Yeah.
So this
it's already gone.
Already gone. Which is the other one? 1A. There's another one that sunsets this year.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah.
I found that you're
in any
talking
event,
about.
it's quick and get it. You've got another 10 days to grandfather in, and then it's done.
Right. That was last year. Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, it was changed quite dramatically even the year before then. So there was very little in 2010. There was some, but not much. One of my clients actually was very successful with that, but that's another story. By the way, some fun things that are happening on the film side. There are two Maui, I guess we talked about it. We're talent tonight, right?
Right. Yes, we are talent.
So they're two.
You're talent.
They're two Maui folks that are having a premiere TV show on the History Channel tomorrow.
Oh.
Tomorrow. In fact, we're going to have a party here, a viewing party here to watch the History Channel. But it's Garrett Lacey, who's a physicist, and Reichert von Wolfschild, who is a experienced entrepreneur, and it's called Invention USA.
Excellent.
And both of them are very colorful and very smart. And they're basically, people are coming and presenting their ideas, and they go on, it's all on location. They go visit the people and
very
stuff.
cool.
So it'll be fun. Tomorrow night, and then I think Friday nights on the History Channel, Invention USA.
So please support your local Maui
and hopefully we
talent.
get them back here to do more here. Although I think it's all location stuff. So
So we do have another caller. So please introduce the caller. Who is this?
Hey, aloha. This is Greg in Haiku. And you're all three very talented. I've actually connected with all three of you at one time or another over different issues and different times.
Thank you, Greg.
I appreciate the work you're doing and continue on. I've lived on Maui 20 years and worked in Santa Fe in the cowboy movie business in the summers, and that paid for my Maui winters to come over here. And the community 20 years ago really got behind their efforts, and there was more daylight at 6 a.m. there than there was at noon in L.A., and that's why it drew a lot of business in from both coasts. And it seems like they're tearing down a building right behind the Kaumanu Mall right now that would have been perfect for a huge soundstage that was part of the pineapple industry stuff. So the big money, the plantation economy here is not seeming to support this in its own direction, and this is a people's movement to have to come up. And now the technology is getting more affordable. The technology to shoot movies and to do this work you're talking about is very good. I think Kihei is much better. It's closer to where David used to teach at the computer center over there. And the scenery is all well and good, and there's plenty of ground to build on for sound stages. So that's something you could look into from a community point of view also, trying to get it from the grassroots up. But I think ultimately, and I've mentioned this to other people here, that Mel Gibson's people, that they did two films with language as one of the keys, the Passion of Christ and the one on the Mayan pyramids and back in those days. And I thought Maui is the perfect example of a cultural story. You've got to have the story first. But you're sitting here in the middle of the Pacific. We just had the APEC conference. If you have a single story about the migration to Maui and you market this back to the TV markets in all those countries, and you include the Filipino maids in the hotels and the different things, and use their own language for their version of the TV thing, and then you subtitle it with, English and other things.
Sure.
I mean, but the story is the key. And so you're absolutely correct to try to call in the talent that knows the local history of this since the overthrow and beyond, and tailor it to the 7 or 8 or 10 cultures that mix here, and then market it back to those areas. This is a great tool to then finance it from, because you can reach outside of Maui or the United States for some of that financing as it goes on.
Greg, it sounds like you've got a pretty good idea and should be a producer. At this point,
I do have some ideas on stories, but one of my teachers was Buckminster Fuller back in the days.
Gotcha.
And when you're talking about enhancing local community, and this show is really focused on one of his 6 endeavors, he says if human beings work in the 6 fields of food, health, shelter, energy, education, and entertainment, because the human spirit needs to be entertained,
right,
that is the foundation of all global economy. And when you're working in those areas, then you enhance the local economy. When you're dealing with finance and real estate and insurance and big business. This actually destroys true wealth. It makes money, but it destroys true wealth. And you have to know the difference between making money and creating wealth. And you guys are talking about creating wealth as a foundation here. And thing.
That's what we're hoping for.
And
Absolutely.
Netra's work personally with prisons and the local island stuff has been wonderful. I've appreciated that. But in the long run, now that she's looking at the wider economic issues, I read your article in the paper recently on the Occupy Wall Street movement. One of the things to know that's coming up is the movie Thrive. And thrivemovement.com will tap you into that as a movie. But as the Occupy movement goes underground for the winter to come up in the spring, everybody's going to be watching this movie and getting more and more educated about the foundation of this stuff. And the focus will come in the summer, just like in '68 with the anti-war movement. It is going to be the Republican convention in Florida and the Democrats in Carolina. And there's 6 months of time for education. And that's way far away from us here, but it does affect us. And to build a local economy, you do have to understand what's going on in the wider global stuff.
Of course.
And I appreciate all you guys so much for the work you do. Build a local foundation, because the local talent will come to serve you with it, and all blessings to all of you.
Well, we can't do it without you. So thank you again. It does take the community. I'm just one person as everybody else here, and it's all of you folks out there that are listening and calling in and watching. That's where the movement is taken. That's where it's done.
That's Bucky's definition of integrity. Is everybody being a single individual. What can one individual do? And that's why on his tombstone, it's called Call Me Trim Tab. And Trim Tab is the little tiny rudder that moves the rudder on a big ship. And he said, whenever anybody complains about what can one individual do, it is to just put your energy out there and see what happens.
Trim Tab.
And so, you're working in that same field. So all blessings, as humble you as you are, keep doing the good work. And I'd love to see this thing come up. And if nothing else, then a year from now, we need to begin focusing on when that 20 million tons of tsunami trash from from Japan is coming this way. There's a whole movie to be made in that, because the tourism market may be gone by then, and we may bring in 20-somethings that want to help clean up the beach and take advantage of all of their gifts and skills they bring to us sometimes.
Absolutely, and there again is another great opportunity. Again, you really, are you sure you're not a producer, Greg? Because I hear a lot of stories up there that you could be working with Akaku to be producing.
Well, yeah, they know me down there, and I work at the Temple of Peace, so we're in touch. We'll be in communication over time.
Good. Well, then come into the film office and say hi.
All blessings.
Thank you, Greg.
There are an incredible amount of stories. I was just reminded, right after APEC, we had the rededication of the Sun Yat-sen Park.
Yep.
And that's a whole incredible story, because he basically came up with the idea of the Chinese Revolution here on Maui. Sure. That's pretty big. That was sort of the incubator for that. And then, of course, I'm still amazed that there are a lot of people that live here who don't know about Hokulea and the Pacific, the Polynesian Voyaging Society, and those are incredible stories as well. And there are a lot of stories.
I'm sure half the people don't realize Lindbergh's buried on the backside in Hana.
Yep.
One of our more colorful and famous characters throughout history.
So, regarding the working group that was appointed by the bill or the act to study things.
The resolution.
Oh, you're right, resolution.
The resolution.
Everybody knows a bill is you must, and a resolution is we suggest. So a resolution is a suggestion, a bill is a law.
Right.
So this working group, what have they come to? How is that going?
Well, that's still in process, but one of the things that I've learned out of this is regulators and attorneys tend to be focused on preventing problems,
right.
And then once the problems come, resolving them, or whether it's putting people in jail or settling lawsuits or whatever like that, as opposed to crafting solutions and making things better.
Yeah.
So, so It's good. It's an interesting group, and we're learning stuff like that. But I think it's what's really happening, believe it or not, is what's been going on in Washington, and it's Obama put together a group in the spring with Steve Case, who's got Maui
we know
roots,
him, yes.
called Startup America, and they were soliciting ideas, and out of that came there was a guy who's been advocating the crowdfunding, a guy named Woody Neese.
Okay.
And so he really took the ball and ran with that. But there are a lot of other people that are involved with that. And then, from that, both Republicans and Democrats have gotten really into it and are making it happen. So, and the key thing though is it's not costing the government money. Okay.
Right. So
this is tapping, the money that's already sort of out there, and small bits. The idea that, $1,050. And this is, by the way, this is not just for profits. The nonprofit sector has been doing this for quite a while. You just have to think of like Hawaii Public Radio doing all their fundraising.
Right.
That's crowdfunding.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's true.
And the political campaigns. The last Obama
Absolutely.
campaign raised $250 million. And that was crowdfunding.
Exactly.
Of course, there were other monies coming in there as well.
There's the Goldman Sachs money, and
there was a couple
that
of
was the problem was.
but that's all right.
But anyway, the first part was good.
Yeah, and that's sort of an issue that we have to figure out at some point.
That's the campaign finance issue.
Yeah, which we've talked before, and I think that's the root of a lot of problems.
Yeah.
And Larry Lessig, I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Oh, he's awesome.
Has written a book called Republic Lost, and it really focuses in. And we ultimately, from a political point of view, we need to deal with campaign finance reform.
Oh, God,
that's the
absolutely.
A lot of this other stuff is really, as he says, working at the branches, and we're not dealing with the root.
And it's true. I did read. It's reading his article, and it's also a video that actually shifted that for me. And I really saw that, and I did write an article about that. That our current campaign finance system with private financing of campaigns is basically legalized bribery. And it would never be put up with in any other field of endeavor. But we've got people that are, their job, politicians, is supposed to be equal. They're supposed to be looking after everybody and regulating those people who are bullies. And basically, when groups, corporations get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, it's just, I guess they just become bullies because they're so big. And they can't regulate them because, especially as the wealth has risen up in the last 30 years, they have the money and the candidates need the money. Sure. And so then they're indebted to those people, and it's the system. And I hear some people dissing politicians, but people are people, but the system itself, it's a conflict of interest.
It's not the people, it's the system. Most people are trying to do well.
Yeah, but it's...
To do the right thing, I should say.
I truly believe that. I truly believe that in most people's heart of hearts.
Yeah.
It's always,
and they're
where they start
feeling as frustrated about all this stuff.
Yeah.
Sure.
And it was heartening to hear that, what was that, 380 something to 17 with the crowdfunding?
405.
Even better.
405. So to me, there's a couple things, and the caller mentioned prisons, and that's another thing. This thing called justice reinvestment, where the Democrats like it because it's about treating people better, and the Republicans like it because it's about not wasting money. But it's actually the same. So there's many things where it's a win-win for everybody, and evidently this crowdfunding is a win-win for everybody. So that's really exciting.
Yep. By the way, for those who'd like to get some hands-on knowledge about how to do this, next Friday we're going to be doing we're going to have a 1 hour focus in on the mechanics of doing crowdfunding at the Maui County Business Resource Center. And I just learned before
you can tell,
it's going to be videotaped.
Tell
it's already set up. It's going to be
No. So that the invite, if you look at the camera with the red light, and tell the public.
Come on next Friday to the Maui County Business Resource Center, which is in the Maui Mall, sort of kitty corner from International House of Pancakes. Not where the DMV is, and from noon until about 1. It's an hour thing. And we're going to also probably do a WebEx. For those of you who know, I'll probably put it on Facebook. If all of you who are Facebook friends of mine, send that out. And of course, there is going to be an Akaku producer there. So at some point it will be rebroadcast on Akaku.
Okay, and so we're coming near the end of the show. So if you want to give, both of you want to give contact info on how people can reach you that got excited about your projects.
Well, they can see me Friday at between 12 and 1. I'll be down at the Business Resource Center with David learning about crowd financing.
Yeah.
But other than that, certainly I'm your film commissioner. You can reach me at any time at the Office of Economic Development. I am the Maui County Film Office. The number is posted on the county website, as well as, I don't know, the website. We'll start there.
Yeah, I think you go to the mayor's office?
Mayor's office, Office of Economic Development, and then there's the county, Maui County Film Office. If you'd like to see our site, which is still in a state of repair, we're at filmmaui.com.
Excellent, excellent. So I'm sure you'll be getting some calls and emails.
We certainly hope so.
And how about you?
Well, I've got 2 websites, well, actually 3, but one is coolprojectsmaui.com. That's a blog.
Like this.
And then we've got my consulting practice is Maui Venture Consulting. So that's mauiventure.net. So one venture, mauiventure.net, not ventures. And then for all this, we have a site for the Hawaii Local Exchange. It's hawaiilocalexchange.org. And that's what it is. There's a lot of resource information there. We are going to be evolving that and probably using some different language, like the community finance marketplace. But right now, all that stuff is at hawaiilocalexchange.org.
Wonderful. Yeah. And then do you need, like Harry does for the legislation at the state legislature, he'll need people to testify to make sure that go through. Do you need the public to give some political clout to anything?
If people would like to communicate with Senators Kaka and Inoue over the next couple days or week, and you can go to their websites and contact and say, I support the new crowdfunding bills and making it easier to raise money, that would be a great thing to do. So I would encourage you to do that.
Wonderful. So it seems like we're creating our own economy. You know, we're instead of just complaining, we're going to the next step, and let's do this.
Absolutely. Think Maui first. That's the way I like to think.
Yeah. Think local, buy local.
Absolutely.
So, any final things you want to tell? We've got a couple more minutes.
Thank you for having us on. Thank you for giving us a forum to speak.
My pleasure.
That's been wonderful, and enjoyed talking to your callers and being here. Look forward to doing it again.
Well, thank you so much for coming. This has been very fun and educational. Thank you, viewers, for watching. And remember, Netra's News is also on YouTube. So after the show, or if you want to tell friends about it, or you want to see it again, or you want to see past episodes, just go to YouTube and type in Netra's News without the apostrophe, and you can look at, this is our 10th show, so they can look at all the past shows. So thank you for coming, thank you for watching, and see you again in 2 weeks.
Peace and aloha.